In May of 2018, I turned another business trip to southwest Norway into a family adventure. My lovely wife, 3 precious children, and I spent 7 wonderful days in Stavanger and the surrounding area. By the grace of God, the trip went flawlessly. Of the 13 countries in which I've lived or visited, Norway takes the prize for best food and best scenery. This video contains the best of the 600 plus photos and videos that my wife and I took. I look forward to reading your comments and answering your questions about the trip. We began the trip on Friday, May 18th. Here we are aboard the big Airbus about to go across the pond. Is it obvious that we're excited? Aside from a very short trip to Mexico when she was much younger, Angie had never been outside of the United States. So here she is, excited to be holding up her passport, which she just got a few months ago, with her first official immigration officer stamp. On the third of the 3 flights that we took to get to Stavanger, the boy sat next to me. So here he is, observing the beauty of the Norwegian landscape and the North Sea as we're about to land. In keeping with our plans, as soon as we touched down and got our rental car, we drove about 2 minutes west to the Sola Beach, as it's called, S-O-L-A. It's very close to the airport. Even though we had been up for many hours, been on 3 flights, and been in basically an aluminum tube for over 11 hours, we still thought it best to go out and spend some energy on the beach, get some sunshine. It was a beautiful day, a little cool, but for Norway that time of year, it was very nice.
Show me. Okay. Oh, Elijah.
Show!
Oh, let me see. Put it in my hand. Wow. Look at those.
Where's the walk?
That's gum.
That's gum.
Goodness.
View in our hotel room. It's so gorgeous. There's the harbor down there with all the ships, little boats, cute houses.
After we checked into the Clarion Hotel about 2:30 that Saturday, we decided to go down and visit the very old Stavanger Cathedral. Saturday, May 19th, we enjoyed dinner in downtown Stavanger at a new restaurant called Olivia. This was the wife and kids' first meal in Norway. Though exhausted and full, we took a delightful walk around the harbor and then back up to our hotel. This beautiful bit of landscaping is just about 200 yards away from the hotel. After a long day and a half of travel, we could not resist the hotel hot tub. I cannot overstate the quality and the breadth of the breakfasts at the Clarion Stavanger. The breakfast alone was a major factor in our choice of the hotel. One of the best things about this vacation was the fact that I had bacon every day. Sometimes twice a day. Praise God.
What is it? Is it good?
Coffee or what?
You've got a little fresh pressed juice here, a bunch of different cheeses, butter on your bread, liver pate on your bread, some melons. What do you have, London?
Oh, it's just amazing.
Is it amazing?
Milk,
Tell me.
water, pineapple, scrambled eggs with ketchup, salt and pepper, and I have a
Croissant with butter?
croissant with butter. And
What is
cheddar.
this right here?
Pate. No,
Norwegian brown cheese.
Brown cheese.
Yay toast.
And that's cheddar. I think
That's a Swiss cheese.
Yeah, Swiss, and that's cottage cheese.
Oh, that looks
It's
good.
amazing.
Yum. So I have yay toast cheese. This is a cumin cheese, liver pate, shrimp salad, olives, sardine, caviar, 3 different fruits, brie cheese, blue cheese,
Caviar.
bread with marmalade, juice.
About 600 or 700 feet east of our hotel is located a beautiful park where there's a nice lake and seagulls, swans, some play areas for the kids, lots of beautiful trees, and the weather was again perfect for us. We spent most of the morning walking around Old Stavanger. Being Sunday, we felt like we had the whole city to ourselves. Never seen them like this. Those look like the young ones.
Yeah.
My beautiful wife and kids among many beautiful flowers on the outskirts of the park. During our stay, we saw all kinds of vessels moored at the harbor, everything from bass boats to tugboats to large cruise ships. Stavanger has many great restaurants to offer. For lunch this Sunday, we enjoyed burgers at Doggenville. It's a restaurant just east of the harbor. During the course of my 2 previous visits to Norway in May of 2017 and November of 2017, I had eaten at Doggenville a number of times, so I knew it was a good place. Advice for those who are considering traveling to Norway: bring a bunch of money for food. Yes, food is considerably more expensive there. This lunch cost us about $75. We spent the majority of Sunday afternoon aboard this cruise ship. It took us on a 3-hour round-trip tour of the Lisa Fjord and Preikestolen, or Pulpit Rock. I highly recommend you take this tour. We booked it through the Rudna Fjord Cruise Company. I believe that's how you pronounce it anyway. The total cost was about $180 for 4 of us, and it was worth every penny. This map shows the origin or start point of the trip, and then you can see the turnaround spot at the right side or east side of the fjord, and then those 3 white boxes represent stopping points along the way. The ports of call, if you will, included the grazing grounds for some goats that live in the mountains, a cave, and a waterfall from which we were able to drink. In a word, the scenery was breathtaking. Look closely near the center of the photo, just above the water's edge, and you'll see some of the mountain goats. I had to laugh at myself while taking these, because my family and I raise goats that are quite similar to these. So here I am, 5,000 miles away from my home, photographing goats that really aren't that spectacular. It was funny to watch everyone else on the boat, though, photographing them too. I think I read that over 300,000 people visit Pulpit Rock or Preikestolen every year. This is a view of that famous rock from the water. Later in the video, you'll see a view of the water from the vantage point of the rock. One of many displays of God's amazing handiwork.
Ja, det har du helt rett i. Men det kan være holde meg i buksen, sånn at jeg ikke Nei. Du er en smarting, du. Hvor gammel er du?
These videos and photos are of the waterfall that I mentioned when showing the map of the fjord tour. My lovely bride had undoubtedly the best seat in the house for this part of the tour. She was positioned at the very nose of the boat. In fact, you can see her. She's wearing a green jacket or coat, and she's standing right next to the employee who snatches the water in a stainless steel bucket.
Thank you.
Part of the cruise package included drinking from that waterfall. Raise your hand if you've heard of Voss water, V-O-S-S. If you've been to a Whole Foods and you've walked down the aisle with the waters, you've probably seen this. It's very expensive. Well, Voss is a municipality or a county or a district in Norway. And let me tell you, our water here has got nothing on Norwegian water. And that bottled Voss water isn't even as good as what I think we drank from this waterfall. The cruise and subsequent walking around Stavanger wore all of us out. My wise wife suggested that we eat Indian that evening. There aren't a lot of American cars in Europe, and there certainly aren't a lot of old American cars. So what are the odds that we came across an old American car procession on the way back to our hotel? Well, we did. Check it out. Monday, May 21st was another long, adventurous, fun day for us. At the recommendation of a colleague and coworker over there in Norway, we had planned to take about a 4-hour round-trip tour of the countryside, leaving from Stavanger early in the morning, heading south and east over to a town called Birkedal, and then south and west to a town called Egersund, and then back up the coast, the west coast of Norway, to Stavanger. A recent rock slide in Birkedal, however, prevented us from taking that entire trip as planned. Even though our route was cut short, the total time on the trip was about 7 hours. So it was probably a good thing that the Lord ordained for us to cut it short as far as distance-wise. Here we are in front of our reliable rental car, a French car called a Citroën. When I travel, whether by car or plane or boat, I almost always carry with me a bottle of Young Living peppermint essential oil. Due to the many twisty roads this day, it came in handy.
I know, isn't it?
You getting video?
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
In God's amazing providence, we stumbled upon this yarn outlet. We had been traveling a good while, and we were starting to get hungry and wanting to stretch our legs, and came to a point in our route where we had to take an abrupt change in direction. And here's this really neat place where we spent about an hour and a half shopping and eating and walking around. And as you can see there on this building, like a lot of the buildings over there, they have grass growing, which is very strange but interesting.
That is so neat. Yes. Yep. It is.
Such a soft and cute button to turn on.
Where's the button to turn it on?
Man.
That's what I call some kind of beauty.
Isn't it beautiful?
Wow.
But it has gates to it.
Sailboat down in there.
It has gates to it.
Wow, this is a real tunnel. And they got big old medians on these roads. And you? Like the yarn outlet and restaurant and gift shop, this Giljajuvet tunnel turned out to be a complete surprise and such a blessing for us. While cruising along our road, we saw a waterfall and a bridge going over the waterfall, and we thought that would be an amazing place to stop and enjoy the scenery. So we did. It turned out to have a lot more in store for us, as you'll see.
What is it? It's so cool. Look at this.
We're gonna go across the bridge.
Okay.
I want to go in the pad.
Nice flower, huh? So what you're about to see is the remains of an old road. So sometime in the past, this was the tunnel through which the road passed, and looks like it suffered a massive rock slide or avalanche.
He's making you nervous. We just climbed over all of that to get to that. The waterfall is back in here? Oh yeah, the ground's all wet.
I'm already wet. I'm already soaking.
Look, there it is.
Okay, I'm not going to stand still.
What are you doing, Angie? Oh my goodness! You're not gonna drink that Norwegian water, are you?
Oh, man. I'm wet. Of course it's wet. It's water. Oh, you gotta have some. I'm cold. Okay, I'm not getting any.
Oh, it's on me.
Ah, it just went in my eye.
Oh, it's pretty good.
It is good. Back down the mountain.
That's probably just road runoff.
Yeah.
Through the back glass of our rental car, you can see the road that we had planned to take to continue the route that I was describing earlier. But as soon as we began to go down that road, there were signs posted that that a rock slide had just occurred. We're here in the small town of Birkshedal, where there's a really neat candle making store. And so I went inside and got directions as to how to get back to the path that we wanted to be on, and went ahead and picked up some treats for the kids. Unlike 99% of American children, our kids hardly ever eat refined processed GM sugar like I'm sure filled those treats you just saw. So this is the product of that. accompanied with quite a bit of energy expenditure earlier on this trip. At a friend's recommendation over a year ago, when I first visited Norway, I went to Phileas Fogg. It's a restaurant in downtown Stavanger. It's been there for quite a long time and has a good reputation. And the thing that I think they're known for is their bacon-wrapped monkfish. Yes, you heard that right. Bacon-wrapped monkfish. So after our long adventure throughout the countryside of Norway, the family and I went to Phileas Fogg and enjoyed a really nice dinner. We had, of course, the monkfish and then some mussels. Sadly, on Tuesday, May 22nd, I had to actually do some work. So while I went to work that day, the kids and the wife went out and toured around Stavanger. And this is at the beginning of their day. And you can see here 3 of the 4 sweaters that we purchased from that yarn factory outlet the previous day.
Don't fall in the water. Wow.
Do you see that suspension bridge in the distance? Angie and the kids walked all the way to that to visit a gourmet cafe that sells baked goods and cheeses and other tasty things. It's called the Osterhuset. You'll see a video and some photos of that in just a bit.
So all the chocolate over there in that corner, cheeses, sausages, specialty cheeses, breads, more cheese, food, prepared food. Try the brown cheese that we just sliced.
Okay.
All right, what's it taste like? Let me see. Taste it.
First I gotta sniff it and look at it.
How's it taste?
Yummy.
Is it good? You want to try it? Okay, here we go. There you go. Try it.
There were no shortages of parks and places for the kids to play. The same was true for chocolatiers and candy shops. Edible underwear, even. Not sure the 7-year-old should have seen that. Probably should have waited a few more years. I have no idea where he gets it, but my 5-year-old Elijah giggles at many of his farts. So of course he found this hilarious. The kids requested fish and chips even before we left the States. So finally they got it, and boy were they happy. Tuesday evening we ate at the Fisketorget, which is a fresh fish market and seafood restaurant just south of the harbor. Very good. Mussels for the second time, grilled whale, shrimp, a whitefish, and other delicacies were on the menu that night. All very good. While we walked back to the hotel that evening, an old man approached us as we walked through this park. He was carrying this big plastic bag of old bread. To our surprise, he gave it to us. He told us that he often feeds the birds with the bread from restaurants nearby. We had no idea how much excitement that bread was going to bring us.
Alright. They're not going to pluck you. They're not going to hurt you, Elijah. No, stop it.
At the recommendation of 3 colleagues, we visited the Utstein Monastery on the afternoon of Wednesday, the 23rd. Again, the weather was beautiful, the scenery was gorgeous. I've been an avid church historian for many years, so I found it particularly interesting. And the sea winds its way right up to the edge of the property.
Hi. What's your name?
Can I say hi to it?
Yes.
They're coming right up to the car. They're right on the road.
You're very precious.
Oh, look, it's the cute.
Well, why don't you say hi to it?
I want to touch it. Can I touch it?
Sure, go ahead.
I can't.
Yeah, well, get out.
If they don't run away from you, they might run away. There they go. Oh, the air is so cool.
Oh, they're so sweet.
That's a big one. They are sweet.
No, we could open There might be a car coming, okay, Tony?
Okay.
Look like it.
I don't-
I'm so close to a dragonfly.
Close to a dragonfly.
That was just a
Oh.
dandelion.
I think this is the kind of house that I'm going to have in heaven because it's secluded, rustic, in the country, and most of all you can hear, aside from sheep and birds, is a tractor sound. That evening, we ate at the Rena Matbaren, or RM for short. It's a Michelin award-winning restaurant in Stavanger. I had eaten there by myself several times in the past. Of the hundreds, if not thousands of restaurants at which I have eaten in my lifetime, this place, for its service and the quality of the food and the taste, is in the top 3 without a doubt. On this occasion, Angie got a steak and I got turbot for the second time. One of the blessings of this restaurant is the head waiter, Emmanuel. We had gotten to know each other during my previous visit about 6 months ago before this trip. When I walked in with the family, he immediately recognized me and thanked me for bringing my wife and kids. That was impressive. The food and service was so good this time that we again, 2 nights later, ate here, even though there are many other good restaurants in Stavanger.
Hey kids, where are we off to?
The beach. Oh yeah, right.
Another beach?
A beach?
I found a bunch. I found 17 shells. Me too. I found 17 shells at the last beach.
On Thursday, May 24th, I finished work early, so the family and I headed west from Stavanger to a small beach called Vigdalstranden. In keeping with the previous 5 days of the trip, the weather was perfect.
Here we are, and we're like the only ones here.
A bunny. A bunny.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Wow.
Oh, bunny. He's not a bunny. Oh, watch out, there's poop there.
Hey, Button!
No laughing. my lovely bride basking in the sun.
Mama, what's been cornered in here? Okay. Careful, watch your feet. One big one right here. Okay, forget about it. Oh, nice. I lost my blue shell and it lost everyone.
We never would have imagined returning from Norway with a suntan.
Here comes the monkey. Hey, you.
I ran from the top of that hill right there
Yeah,
to you.
I know. You're so athletic. Hey, Button.
Dinner that evening was at a place that I had found before we left the States. It's called Strandhuset på Uleberg. It's only about a 2-minute drive from where we were at the beach. Neither my wife nor I are big seafood fans, but being in Norway, we thought we should try as much as possible. So on this occasion, I got the halibut and she got the salmon, and we were not disappointed. Friday, May 25th was our last full day in Norway, and indeed we saved the best for last. After a big hearty breakfast that morning, we boarded a ferry with our car. After about a 40-minute boat ride, we drove our car for about another half an hour to Preikestolen, or Pulpit Rock. In all honesty, we didn't know if we would make it. We're not an outdoors/hiking kind of family, and the wife was 6 months pregnant at the time, and our children are both still relatively young at 5 years and 7 years of age. And I've had a chronic knee pain problem for over 20 years. Even so, we determined to try our best, and we were glad we did. It turned out to be a glorious day.
Yep.
Throughout the hike, the beauty and grandeur of the views brought Psalm 19 to mind many times. For the choir director, a psalm of David, the heavens are telling of the glory of God, and their expanse is declaring the work of his hands. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night reveals knowledge.
Beautiful things. That's right, Elijah. Have to remember that. Write it down. How he said, "I wish I was God, so I could make the whole world like this.
Yeah.
I wish the whole world was like this."
The gun's smaller. I need a quicker break.
And what was that in reference to?
This place.
I'm probably the only person in the history of Norway to have photographed these rocks. The reason for my photographing them is because my 5-year-old son was injured here within about 30 minutes of our hike. He jumped from point 1 to point 2 and then lost his balance and tumbled to point 3. Thankfully, my wife and I had the foresight to pack Band-Aids, lots of water, a bunch of essential oils, and so within a short time we were able to mend him back together and get back on the trail.
Elijah, how you doing? What's that? Having a good time though? Not really? Beautiful views. Look at that view over there.
Amazing.
Wow. How about you, Button?
I'm not having a good time at all.
You're not? Tell me some Norwegian. What? Oh, look at that view.
Tusen taki.
Toss and talk. This is the last 250 or so meters to Pulpit Rock. So we've walked over 4,000, I think, somewhere around there. Elijah, how you feeling now? Horrible? Yeah. You don't look very good either. You got snot on you. Chocolate on your lip. How you feeling, Angie?
I'm about to calve, I think.
Are you about to give birth right here?
Give birth right here. Yeah.
Okay.
Reaching Pulpit Rock took us about twice as long as the average hiker. Even so, we were all very happy to have made the trip. I'll tell you what happens when you hike to the top of Pulpit Rock. This right here. Yep. After belly crawling to the edge of the rock, I hung the camera over the edge to take this picture of the southern face. Hanging over the edge, looking downward, this is the eastern face of the rock. Throughout the hike, we drank numerous packets of this superfood drink by Young Living. It's called Ningxia Red. In the video description, I'll put a link where you can get this. It beats the pants off any other antioxidant drink on the market. Two other products that we took on the trip that proved to be lifesavers were Young Living's Panaway Essential Oil and Cool Azul Sports Gel. Again, I'll put links for both of these in the description. I'm super proud of my wife and kids for having made it to the top.
Everybody does it. You just kind of shimmy up on your belly right to the edge.
Oh, I see a giant patch where the water is sparkling.
Proud of my Button. Not only did she hike up to the top of Pulpit Rock,
But she also hiked up here.
so we could get a down view of the, or I guess you call this a top view of Pulpit Rock. Wow. Pretty neat, huh, Button? Do.
We climbed up there.
Yeah, and what did we look at?
We saw a drone,
And?
a little bitty pool of water.
Yep, a little tiny pond up there. And?
Another one behind a big sculpture of rocks.
Yep, we saw a cairn. A little pile of rocks that someone's built up. Took some pictures of the Button rebuilding it.
Yes.
I want to say I'm very proud of you.
You can.
She accomplished a lot.
Yeah. I built a little rock right here, and then I stacked another rock on top.
Yeah.
And then I did it right here on that thing, and I set it on, and then it started falling, and I was like, ugh!
Yeah.
And then I grabbed it, and then I set it the other way.
And getting there.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
climbed.
You had to slide down things and
Jump.
basically belly crawl up things.
When I saw you up there, I thought, man, that's really special that she did that with you.
Yes. And a gentleman took our photo together.
Okay.
I'll show you. I hope the camera picks this up. It's a beautiful waterfall all the way from a lake up there way down to the bottom of the valley. It's amazing.
This is Gökhan Gürbüz. He is a Turkish man who works at the Clarion Hotel Stavanger in the dining hall. I first met him in May of 2017 when I first went to Norway and stayed at the Clarion. To describe him as friendly is the understatement of the century. He blessed us in many ways throughout the week, and we're thankful that he's now a Facebook friend. I hope you enjoyed these highlights of the 2018 Hepp family vacation in Norway.